ध्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् आहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। In this session 21 on the Chāndogya Upanishad, we shall be entering the 7th chapter of this acclaimed Upanishad with 8 chapters. The 7th chapter is another highly celebrated portion of this mystical work. It has a very fascinating story of Devarshi Nārada approaching a young rishi who ever remains young, defying time, defying change. That rishi, that young one, is no other than Sanat-kumāra. Devarshi Nārada, he is a rishi among devas. He is not a manava, born to gods or created by gods by their magical power, not in the usual form of how human beings take birth. He is Devascha, so Rishishcha. Deva Rishi. By Sandhi it becomes Devarshi. Devarshi Nārada was very knowledgeable. He had studied numerous works, vast domains of various subjects were mastered by him. And such a man, deep inside him, feels inadequate. We will be seeing in one of the slides in this presentation how Nārada confesses before Sanat-kumāra, who by age is much younger than this Devarshi. What does he confess? He says, sorrow has not left my bosom. I have not yet crossed the river of sorrow. What a wonderful commentary it is on human life itself. We, humanity, pride ourselves. We pride over so many of our achievements. Man has landed on the moon. Modern communication systems are so great. Medical surgeries and other advancements, practically in countless fields of knowledge, and also in terms of the comforts that we enjoy. It is unthinkable. There was a time nobody had imagined that a common man would be carrying a smartphone like all of us are now familiar with. And yet, how true? There is hardly anyone on the earth who is truly happy. Therefore, Narada, in a very eminent manner, in a preeminent fashion, represents a fundamental problem of humanity, you and me. I have studied so much, mastered so much, highly respected in the three worlds, but I am still in sorrow, he says. Listening to him patiently, Sanat-kumāra says, all that you claim to know is not worth anything really. They are mere words. They are mere externality. They are so superficial. They are pithless, says Sanat-kumāra. However, Sanat-kumāra makes Narada tell him a list of things that he had already studied, and then rather than straight away going to that which can bring an end to sorrow, Sanat-kumāra picks up from where Narada had left, calling it all just nama. It's just a name. By name is meant something that really doesn't serve the actual purpose. You are thirsty, and if I loudly say, water, by screaming water very loudly, I can't satisfy your thirst. You will look at me and say, Nama eva tat. That is the name of what I want. You are not giving me what actually I want. You are only saying very loudly, though, the name of what I want. So there is the name, there is the word, water, and there is actually water. So Sanat-kumāra could have gone directly to what he calls bhūma. Bhūma. That's how grammatically it is pronounced. It is a masculine word. Therefore, bhūma, like Pita. Or Chaturmukha Brahma is called Brahma. Whereas elsewhere, the word Brahma used to imply the non-dual truth ends in a, the short vowel, Brahma. But here, Sanat-kumāra chooses a word that is grammatically to be put in masculine. Therefore, bhūma. It has no dual or plural really. It's always singular because, like the earlier chapter said, chapter 6, Sat eva somya idame agra asit ekameva advitiyam. Here too, bhūma is ekam advitiyam. But just as a grammatical indulgence, we may say, if there were two or three bhumas, bhuma, bhumanau, bhumanah, atma, atmanau, atmanah, grammar. But when you look at what it implies, there cannot be two bhumas to bring about bhumanau. There cannot be more than two bhumanah. Bhuma ekaha eva. So Sanat-kumāra could have gone directly to bhuma. No, he waits for some 25 khandas, 23 khandas, out of the 26 khandas that this chapter has. This 7th chapter has 26 sections and only 50 mantras. Obviously, there are some sections with only one mantra in them, and then there are many sections with only two mantras in them. Sections that have 3 or 4 are just 3 or 4. Most of the sections have two mantras or just one mantra. Therefore, 26 khandas and 50 mantras. Okay, why did he not go directly to bhūma, saying, no bhūma, you will find happiness. No bhūma, your sorrow will come to an end. And bhūma is this. He rather takes up, according to some 23, according to some others 25, according to some 30 items. None of them is bhūma, but let's say 25 of them. All these items are to be respected in our life as we know our life. In our life, a lot of things do matter. Therefore, Vedanta, we repeatedly say, does call this universe a Maya, no doubt, but it's wrong to say Vedanta looks down at this created world. Vedanta, as though, has contempt towards money or power or fame, name, etc. Vedanta does recognize that as one is rising in consciousness, as one is rising in one's inner strength, in one's inner effectiveness, for as Vivekananda had said very, very effectively, strength is life, weakness is death. And what kind of strength does he mean, or did he mean? Yes, any kind really. Any kind of weakness is death. Any kind of strength is, to an extent, life. Of course, there are higher and higher forms of strength. So Swami Vivekananda ji used the expression, strength is life, weakness is death. And here Sanat-kumāra talks about some 25 various abilities that you and I may have. Somebody, for example, may know mantras, that is strength. Somebody may know mantras with their meaning, that is higher strength. Somebody may have physical strength, which also matters. Somebody may have tremendous intellectual strength, mental strength, patience, perseverance, and so on. So, in this 7th chapter, you may wonder, what do 26 sections talk about? If the liberating truth is just one, that could have been said in 2 or 3 mantras and you are done with it. Shankaracharya himself in his commentary says, one reason these various levels of evolution, all of which might be negated at the end, that's a different matter. Various levels of evolution, various levels of self-empowerment are mentioned here, for in the previous chapter, they were not touched upon. In the previous chapter, there was an intense focus on Sat. Uddalaka, the teacher, talks about Sat, and very soon he goes into Tattvamasi, using some illustrations, but not getting stuck with illustrations, pointing to that supreme, all-pervasive truth called Sat, elsewhere called Brahma, or here called Bhūma in this chapter. Uddalaka Uddalaka, in a manner, refuses to come down to lower levels. So Shankaracharya himself admits that perhaps had to be compensated for. What Uddalaka did not do, Sanat-kumāra does in the 7th chapter. Shankaracharya gives yet another reason why all these factors after Nama. He says there is Vak, then there is Manaha, there is Sankalpaha, there is Chittam, there is Dhyanam, there is Vijnanam, there is Balam, there is Annam, and it goes. Apaha, Tejaha, Apaha water, Tejaha fire, Akasha space, Smara memory, Asha hope, aspiration, Prana vital air, energy in us, and then he gets into another bunch among those 25 or 26 factors. Satyam, Vijnanam in a new sense, Matihi, Shraddha, Nishta, Kritihi, Sukham. So, all these have to be examined. Therefore, 999 out of 1000 people who get into Vedanta get stuck somewhere because without exploring what life really has to offer to us, not all can take a shortcut. 1 in a million can. That 1 in a million has examined all these parikshya lokan, as Mundaka Upanishad puts it, that loka pariksha, karma phala pariksha has been done by 1 in a million in previous lives. Someone like Ramana Maharshi did not have to examine what are available in this life. He was able to turn inward and without looking back, without looking behind, he straight went into the source of all thoughts. But most of us aspire to go straight to Brahma, but something hurts us, something upsets us, something arouses in us curiosity, desire, something arouses in us a certain dissatisfaction at what we are, and therefore jealousy about what somebody else is, and maybe not saying it openly. Inside us, we harbor certain sense of inadequacy. So what we mean by examining is to really see what various talents, various abilities, various accomplishments can give to us, to see them so thoroughly that we are no more aspiring for them. To say, I don't want anything, I want only liberation is very easy. But to actually have that single-pointed devotion to Brahma-vidyā is next to impossible. So Shankaracharya says these are to be mentioned. And these are, Acharya Shankara uses in his commentary an expression, the Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, in order to show the tiny star. He says, for Shakha Chandra Nyaya, it is a step-by-step process. So, in a way, it's baffling. To that all-pervasive truth, how can there be steps? To have steps towards Brahma is like saying, from dream, in order to come to waking state, we need to climb some steps. 25 steps, and then you wake up. While we see that dream ends and we wake up. There is no ladder between dream and waking. Therefore, how can there be evolution? How can there, how can it be a case of Brahma Prapti as a cumulative process, as an additive process? Add, add a little more, add another little, and at some point you reach Brahma. That doesn't make sense. Yes, in a way it is contradictory. But in another sense, there is no case of anybody knowing Brahma unless they have arrived at a very deep understanding of the futility of world's temptations, world's tempting prospects. Therefore, Shankaracharya gives a couple of meanings how it is a teaching process, how it is something that was missed out in the earlier chapter, and so on. So, in this session, which is more a general introduction to chapter 7, we will take a quick look at the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter is no other than the finite can never give you true and lasting happiness. It is only the infinite which happens to be the meaning of bhūma. Bhūma means that which nothing can surpass. Bhūma is that which has no boundaries. And in one of the slides, we will be seeing the definition of bhūma given in this Upanishad itself. So in the title slide, we have Chāndogya Upanishad and the wisdom of the infinite. The wisdom of the infinite. This is second slide. We go back to the first slide. That is the title slide. Sanat-kumāra Nārada Samvāda. Bhūma-vidyā. When you use that word bhūma in the pratama vibhakti, it becomes bhūma. Otherwise, the basic substantive, we call it, or the crude form. For those who may not be familiar with the Sanskrit grammar, you see you have the word Ramaha, but the basic word is Rama. Rama becomes Ramaha. Like that, Bhuman becomes Bhuma. So the basic crude word does not have a A, but it is Bhuma, Bhuman or Bhuma. So bhūma-vidyā. So bhūmnaha vidya, bhūma-vidyā. Or like we say about Brahma, bhūma eva vidya. The wisdom of the infinite is also questionable. The infinite is itself the wisdom. Brahma eva vidya, Brahma vidya, or Brahmanaha vidya, Brahma vidya. Both are accepted in their own right. So the pithy statement coming in this very text is Yo vai bhūma tat sukham. As it appears in the 23rd khanda of this beautiful chapter, in the mouth of Sri Sanat-kumāra, who dismisses all that has a boundary, that has a limitation, that has a beginning and end, to be not sukha at all. Na alpe sukhamasti, he is going to say. Alpa means which is finite. As Sri Krishna would echo this in the Gita. Adyantavantaha kaunteya nateshu ramate buddhaha. Things that have adi and anta are ones in which wise people do not delight. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantavantaha kaunteya nateshu ramate buddhaha. Chapter 5. Therefore, we repeatedly say, Bhagavad Gita is an excellent restatement of the Upanishads, making matters simpler at many places or at all places. That which is infinite is happiness. Therefore, you may as well say chapter 7 is a course on happiness. In universities around the world these days, professors have begun to offer courses on happiness. And I believe a lot of children, a lot of students take that either as a credit course or as an audit course. Some way they include it in their scheme of studies. Happiness, of course, they may not go to the height of the Upanishads, but they do discuss how there are illusory things in this world which promise some happiness to us, but which finally leave us in the lurch. And true happiness is much more than sense pleasures. The happiness in healthy relationships, the happiness in friendship, the happiness in serving people, and so on. Happiness of many kinds is presented in those courses. But in the ancient times, the question was raised, what brings to us true happiness? And Sanat-kumāra says, Alpe sukham na asti. There is no happiness in anything that is bound time-wise, bound space-wise, bound object-wise. Kalataha, deshataha, vastutaha va yadalpam tasmin alpe sukham nasti. So we see a couple of glimpses of this central teaching in this session, and later we will be going to all those evolutionary steps. So we go to the second slide where we see the confession of Nārada. Nārada approaches Sanat-kumāra with we can imagine, pulling a long face, as we call. So, Sanat-kumāra looks at Nārada and is surprised. Is this Devarshi Nārada, who is so well known, who is revered in the three worlds? Yes, it is the same Nārada. The chapter begins, Adhihi Bhagavaha iti ha upasasada Sanat-kumāram upasadana. Yes, you know the word Upanishad comes from the same preposition upa and verbal root sad. Only ni is missing here. Upa, ni, sad is Upanishad. Here upa plus sasada. Approached Sanat-kumāra, and the teacher understood, said to Nārada, whatever you know, yad vetha tena ma upasida. Let me know what you already know. Then tataha urdvam te vakshyam. And that's how Nārada gives a long list. We'll take a look at it, more meanings of it later. But just to mention the different vidyas which he presents before Sanat-kumāra, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, Itihasa, Purana, Panchamaha Veda, and Pitryam, Rashim, Nidim, Devam, Vakyam. You don't even know what these are. A long list of subjects. I have studied all these. Adhyemi. So Adhyemi literally means I study this. By context, it means I have mastered this. Soham Bhagavaha mantra videva asmi na atmavit. I know the words, I know the sounds, I know their meanings in terms of linguistic exercise. This means this means that. But I do not know the pure self, my own true nature, which is said to be pointed to by all this. Na atmavit. And then comes the important sentence which we have shown in the slide also. Bhagavad Drishebhyaha tarati shokam atmavid iti shrutam. I have heard with no doubt about it. Wise people like you, O Sanat-kumāra, have always said that one who knows one's own pure self, Atmavid, Atmanam Vetti, iti Atmavid, Shokam Tarati, puts an end to sorrow for good. Sorrow would, sorrow would never come anywhere near him thereafter or near her. And when I look at myself, have I reached there? Well, the story is the opposite. I have sorrow. Every now and then something makes me feel a bit depressed. People around me may not know, says Nārada. I mean, it amounts to saying that Aham shochami, soham bhagavah shochami, as the English translation goes. I, however, am in sorrow. So this is the story of billionaires in this world, Nobel Prize winners in this world, Olympic gold winners, Grammy Award winners, or in our own India, what is that? Jnanapeeth Award winner, Bharata Ratna winners. So many of them. No, none of them can ever say, there is no more sorrow in my life. That is far from truth. So we said why in the beginning itself. Narada represents a fundamental problem of human life. Nobody is truly happy. They have reasons to smile. They have reasons to, at least for a while in front of friends and so on, express some happiness. But in the same day, there are moments where this say, of what use is all this? Rather than this Nobel Prize, rather than this Padma Bhushan, rather than this Olympic gold medal, rather than what is that Oscar award, I wish there is something I wish. I wish my son did not leave me. I wish my relationships were better, or something like that, or health problem. Other day there was a short video clip, but I could not know the name of the person. Some Indian did not study much, but he lived a balanced life. Yoga, Ayurveda, what you call natural way of living, holistic way of living. And he says so beautifully. Many of my classmates went for higher studies and they went to UK, USA, Singapore, Philippines, Dubai, Muscat, or in India itself, they became chairman of big organizations, he says, and laughs as he talks about it. So the interviewer asks, why are you laughing? He says, all of them have reached the so-called enviable positions, but I meet them, many of them come and see me when they come to India, and all of them, in spite of their much coveted positions and powers and so on, have some problem or the other. Somebody has diabetes, somebody has already gone through a heart surgery, somebody has already, been suffering from blood pressure, somebody has huge medical bills. And I asked them, so you went all the way to America, 10,000 miles away, and became dean of studies in some reputed university, and you have received many awards, but you haven't kept good health. I see you swallowing so many tablets, and your wife says you have physical and mental issues these days. So do you think really you should have gone there to United States? Why did you not stay back here only and um, maybe spent even 1/10 of all that time which you invested to rise in those professional or career domains? If you had used 1/10 of that time and energy, on living a balanced life, you would have been like me. He says proudly, I have no worries at all. He also has white beard and old face, but the happiness on his face shows. That video, I wish to find out who it is. He says, I am extremely happy. I live a simple life. I have enough to eat, enough to wear. I don't compare myself with those classmates who reached certain positions. So, I don't know who that is. That must be one in a million case. Otherwise, Sanskrit scholars also, Vedanta scholars also, Matadipatis also, those who have built and are running a worldwide spiritual organization also, you go close to them, you find they also have their own misery. Because to build a huge organization, have admirers, followers, disciples, etc., is a different ball game. That does not necessarily mean they are Atmavit. Narada knew much more than a dozen such Matadipatis put together. But yet Narada confesses, Soham Bhagavaha Shochami. Therefore, it's a serious issue. Are we moving in the right direction at all? Therefore, great mystics and revolutionary thinkers like J. Krishnamurti had made interesting statements. They said some people have gone long distance but in the wrong direction. And then he adds with wit and wisdom. If you go in the right direction, the first step can become the last step. One step and you are done. Whereas if you don't find the right direction, you go thousands of steps, and in the eyes of the world, you have become famous. They are jealous of you, foolish people. The world is a mad, mad world. The world is jealous of those who have made money, those who have got awards, those who have traveled to many countries. This mad world is jealous of them and wishes, oh, if we were like her, if we were like him. Very foolish. The truth is, the first step is the last step. If you know this self in me, which is hankering after happiness, which is, so eager to have some chair, some bank balance, some glitter and glamour. That's what this self. Krishnamurti also had said, man's sorrow is in wanting to become. He doesn't say become what. The moment you want to become, I want to become a professor. Now, there are many people who might be saying, I want to become the Prime Minister of UK, because again the chair is empty. So if UK is unable to find anybody who can sit in it, I'm one of the candidates. Some people might be having that foolish thinking, though they can't go anywhere near that chair. But Liz Truss, she created history in a very different way. Liz Truss, now this morning's news, perhaps 24 hours have not passed since she resigned. She became the Prime Minister of United Kingdom for having served the shortest duration, shortest tenure, 3 weeks, I think. 3 weeks or 6 weeks, 6 weeks. Yeah. First week of September, by the time she took oath, maybe a day before the Queen died, the Queen made her, Queen Elizabeth made Liz Truss the Prime Minister. I guess the next day or so, the Queen moved on from the heaven or wherever she is, I don't know. She must be looking down. Oh, what happened to the lady whom I made the Prime Minister, the last one? in my tenure. Left. And some comic strip writer even prepared one advertisement giving publicity to Airbnb. So Airbnb in the in the comic strip shows 10 Downing Street as one of the best accommodations for short stay. For it has become 10 Downing Street has become an accommodation for short stay. 6 weeks only, Liz Truss. So people want to become. Now a lot of people are hoping somebody from Indian origin, Rishi Sunak, should become. Sometimes when you and I cannot ourselves become, we hope X may become, Y may become some candidate with whom we identify out of some foolishness, some vague idea. Anyway, that's another topic. What makes us identify? Next time you watch a football match or a cricket match, try to watch the cricket match without identifying with either side. Absolutely. Don't look at India as your side or England as another side. No. I'm watching the game. No side is my side in this way. Very difficult. The human mind identifies. Therefore, wanting to become, in the process, we do miss the joy of being, to be and not to become. All this comes out from these mantras. Now, in the next mantra that we have selected, we go in that very mantra actually, another portion. Yadvai kinchid adhyagishtaha namavaitat. After Narada gives a long list of subjects which he claims he has mastered, Sanat-kumāra says, all of these is mere names and mere words. They don't take you anywhere. They don't lead you anywhere. They are, sad to say, a waste. In Viveka Chudamani, there is a shloka. It says, Avidnate pare tattve shastradhitistu nishphala. All your scriptural studies are a waste if you haven't come to know Brahman. Avidnate pare tattve shastradhitistu nishphala. And in that puzzling shloka, the second half makes you raise your eyebrows a second time. Vidnatepi pare tattve shastradhitistu nishphala. If you don't know Brahman, but have studied 200 Vedanta texts, all of it is a waste. It's like a meal with the chappan bhog, they say, right? Chappan is 56, I think. So 56 varieties of food are on that plate, large plate. It's placed before you. But those who served such a wonderful plate, imagine, and you are very hungry also, imagine they have tied your hands behind. You cannot eat. Your hands are tied. You cannot lift the hand with the hand or with spoon or fork. No. And you are civilized enough not to try to eat it straight with the mouth. So what's the use of that chappan bhog being in front of you? You could not eat it. So what is the use of having verbal knowledge? Nama eva tat. Nama vai tat. Right. But why does Viveka Chudamani say in the second line, Vijnatepi pare tattve shastradhitistu nishphala? That's interesting. But it is as simple as this. Suppose someone has got to know Brahma, become Atmavid, then Shastradhiti, all the scriptures are of no use to him anymore. He doesn't need them. It's not by hugging or clinging to books that one remains wise. When wisdom has dawned upon one doesn't need any mantra, any tantra, any shloka, doesn't need to memorize, doesn't need to recite something out of memory, etc. So the two sentences are in two different, to be understood in two different ways. You know a lot of words, but you haven't got a glimpse of Brahman. Then they have not served the purpose. And if you have got a glimpse of Brahman, you don't need Shastras anymore. Shastras have done their job. So you have taken the Chappan Bhog, and there was plenty of it more. They took away the plate. You say, take it away. I am full, up to the throat. Some people say, up to the nose I have eaten. Some expressions. So if you are full, you don't need any of the delicacies anymore. And if it's not possible to access, they are only able to see them, but your hands are tied, then of what use is all that in front of you? Like some very successful businessman was so busy till his last breath. It is said about him, he never had the time to smell the roses. In his backyard, in the wonderful bungalow, in the posh area of a great city of the world, he had flowers in bloom, roses were in bloom. But the man, leave alone going there and smelling them, could not even look at them from inside the house also. He is always busy with taking yet another decision, meeting people, and so on. So no time to smell the roses eventually became an idiom of some sort. So Nama Vaitat, of what use is all this scholarship, says Sanat-kumāra. Now, in the last but one slide, we have the excellent punchline. Sanat-kumāra says, all that you have said and the levels of evolution that I showed, all of them cannot give true sukha. They mean a lot. If you are hungry, food means a lot. If a young man is in love with a girl, that girl agreeing to marry him or girl's parents coming forward for the alliance, etc., means a lot to him. How long? For a while only. The unemployed will be so happy to land a job in a good company. So, a lot of things do mean quite a lot during a certain time. There was a boy, and on a certain occasion, he surprised his father by giving a wonderful artistic glass plaque in which he had got it written in some special kind of embossing or so. And the father didn't know that there was some other event, but the son comes up in front of 200 guests, gives him a plaque. And the father sees, what is this, my son, you are giving me? Please read it, Dad, says. And the father reads, the son had written. The son was at that time, I think, 19-year-old or so. The son had got it written. Dad, you mean the world to me. And the dad was so happy. He showed it to the audience. Everybody, see, my son gave me a surprise, my very dear son. And see what he has written. Dad, you mean the world to me. You are everything to me. This happened in 1998. I met that same dad. I was there at that function. I met him again after some 15 years and said, how is your son doing? That son who presented you when some 200 of us were watching that wonderful plaque. Dad, you mean the world to me. He took the hand to his head. That son, he doesn't want me to even visit him nowadays. He is married with 2 children. He lives in another city. And I phone him, son, may I come and visit you for 3 days? He says, Dad, not this time. I will tell you when we are free to receive you. Such is the life sometimes. So, Yo vai bhūma tatsukam. At that time when he was 19-year-old, for him, father was everything. Somehow the father had become role model. Father was getting everything that he wanted probably, etc. I remember after 15 years when I asked this father, so does he not look at you as the world now? One sentence the father said was, no, I am not the world to him now. His young wife is the world. His young wife is the world to him now. I have been replaced by his wife, whom he met during their college studies. Then they married, they have 2 children. So that is what is called alpa. Alpa is finite. There is no happiness in the finite. And that includes mere bookish study. Every time we study the Vedanta, we need to take a deep breath and say to ourselves, may I not be stuck with mere words. May I not be just repeating these words and imagining that that is all there is to it. I want realization. I want to know the truth conveyed by these words. So we have to keep that passion burning brightly. But when Sanat-kumāra says it is the infinite, the Sanskrit word being used is bhūma. What is bhūma? That's our last slide now. Bhūma is, it is given in a very, very mind-boggling way, the definition. And I have heard that Swami Vivekananda ji was very fond of this mantra. Some mantras from Chāndogya and Brihadaranyaka were extremely dear to his heart. He would utter them and his face would beam with light. People saw how happy he is. So the mantra goes, Yatra na anyat pashyati. We see the translation, where one sees not any other. Yatra na anyat shrunoti, where one hears not any other. Yatra na anyat vijanati, where one knows not any other. So, in a hurried reading, people may misunderstand. Oh, that means he may be sitting in a dark room, windows and doors closed, lights also are off, fan is also not turning, and he does not know anybody else, he does not see anything else, he does not hear anything also because it's a soundproof room probably. Rama Rama, that is not the meaning. The meaning is, in this awakening, whatever all along had appeared as the other, either attracting us or repelling us, either we had attachment to them or we hated them, the so-called the other is no more the other. There is no other. It's not about our being unable to see or unable to hear or unable to know. That's the poetic language. I do not know any other means there are no others, all are me only. Once more, Bhagavad Gita rewords it, right? In Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter especially, echoing Ishavasya, echoing this Chāndogya, the Gita says, seeing others in oneself and seeing oneself in them, seeing others in God and seeing God in others, seeing God and others in oneself. So God, so-called others and oneself all become one. And even the greatest yogi is described in the 32nd verse of chapter 6 in Bhagavad Gita. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. Know him to be the supreme yogi who looks at all as no different from him, whether it is sorrow or joy. Their sorrow is my sorrow, their joy is my joy. Really mystic. These are mystical statements. Therefore, this otherness, in other words, duality, this division goes away. And that is bhūma. Yo vai bhūma tadamritam and yad alpam tad martyam. Alpa dies and bhūma is immortal. So this is a quick preview of the entire chapter, but we'll go into the details beginning the 22nd class, which will be next Friday. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo Namah Paramarashibhyah.